So you're on 442, very popular football mag. A lot of people would say that was a dream job. How lucky are you?
Well, I can't remember who it was, some sports manager I think it was, said the more I practice the luckier I get, and it took me 10 years to get to 442.
What was the process?
Well, I edited a football fanzine for 18 months while on the dole. That was back home in Bolton, and it was 60 pages a month for 99p, and I got no money at all from it. All the money that we made was put back in. Well, we had to sell about 95% of the amount that we printed to cover our costs.
But it sounds like it was, even if it was kitchen table, it was an actual publishing enterprise.
Yeah. We had to come up with good sales strategies. I had to organise. Well, I had to lay it out. I had to do most of the writing. I had to recruit writers, edit their stuff, lay it out, find the pictures, which in those cases we just literally cut out of newspapers, and in some cases sticked onto the page, which was then photocopied and distributed. So I had to sort out a distribution network as well, which was my mates.
Well, that is a brilliant experience and a brilliant introduction to the entire publishing process, including journalism. Did that take the place of formal training, or did you go on a course anywhere?
I had done a communication processes degree at Hull Poly, Humberside University, which was part practical training. We made a radio programme, we made a pop video, we did lots of writing, we did a student newspaper, that sort of thing. But also quite a lot of theoretical stuff. We did Noam Chomsky, signify and unsignified, lots of body language things. So that was good grounding. I'd recommend it. But yeah, it was. You can't beat on-the-job experience and getting a wide thing like that. If somebody comes in just as a writer, they could be in the industry for 10 years without knowing fully what it is that production do, for instance.
Now, there are many journalists who went through the more formal NCTJ, PTC training who were a bit sniffy about what sounds like a general media course. It sounds like you actually managed to get something very practical out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Although I can see why people might be sniffy about it. I can completely understand why, because I think from preliminary investigations on Facebook and such like, I think I'm maybe the only person in the media off that entire course, or certainly the people that I know. So you can, as I say, you have to push yourself forward and you have to do it yourself, whether you've got, you can get all the NCTJ and all the qualifications you want, but if you aren't prepared to put the work in, then you won't last long anyway. So.
Well, and also these days, one of the things that the more forward-looking colleges are introducing is entrepreneurialism, because they realise so many people are freelance and so on. It sounds like you had a pretty good crash course in entrepreneurialism.
Well, exactly, yeah. I edited a fanzine for 18 months until the government threatened to withdraw my weekly wage. At that point, I did a postgrad. I think it was a City and Guilds in Manchester, nominally in radio journalism, in the old-fashioned days of slicing tape up. They did have one computer, but we weren't allowed to use it. It's a fantastically badly organised course, so I won't name who it was. After that, I finally got a job somewhere near journalism. What happened was, I applied for a job fantastically late, but late enough that the bloke that had got sacked. And because I'd sent the fanzine along, and it landed on the desk of the bloke who ran the shop, and he was a football fan. He read the fanzine, realised that I could do something.
Was this a football magazine you were applying
for? No,
for?
it was I did apply, and I've still got framed in my toilet 3 rejection letters from 442 from that era. Thank you for pointing out the mistake, but we don't have any jobs at the moment. I can't remember what I pedantically pointed out. I started working as a Copychaser, and it was on local free sheets in Manchester. I had to ring up all the people that had agreed to take out an advertising slot. My first real job in journalism was the Builder and Engineer magazine in Manchester for £8,000 a year for about 60 hours a week. I picked up how to fill pages with words when you've got absolutely nothing at all, because the way that worked, they would highlight a project and we would have to write some words to fill the page, depending on the advert. So if they could get 6 people that wanted to advertise against that project, it would become a 3-4 page feature. Didn't matter if we couldn't find anything out, if the architect wouldn't talk, if the builders wouldn't talk, if the electrical engineers wouldn't talk, we had to fill those pages with something. So it was fill that page with text. I don't care where it comes from. Then I came to London. Press Association, listings department, they produce page ready copy for a wide range of people, for The Sun, for for the Telegraph, and for all the local newspapers as well. All that is done centrally, and it would be put into a template, and then we'd have to sub it back. So what that taught me was the power of subbing into very short, distilling paragraphs into a sentence. Basically.
So it's like TV listings, that kind of thing?
Exactly that. I started getting more responsibility at PA, and started managing people. I ended up with a team of 4 subs underneath me because they got the big new contract for them for what turned out to be Heat magazine. Now, when it first came out, obviously now it's very tittle tattle and hello and stuff, but when it came out, it was supposed to be a very thoughtful, media, art-centric magazine. So it was a whacking great section with loads of film reviews and all, and this kind of thing. And we had some proper film graduates writing for us, and I was teaching them how to sub as well. So, and that was interesting until they realised that Heat wasn't selling very well. So I applied to various places again. Haymarket had started the Net magazine. I did the free serve section, and that was an education because I had a budget to manage, a client to manage. It's a very important part of journalism.
And this presumably was content about free serve, which, if memory serves, was the very successful, nominally free internet service.
Yeah, I moved around a lot on the Net actually. I moved up to look after the website section, and then I became news editor. And then I eventually became production editor on that as well.
I suppose being in Haymarket, you see vacancies and things coming around.
It was part of the reason for coming to Haymarket was that 442 was here. And I got to know the lads on 442 just from playing football with them and being around the building. But no, I moved to Hi-Fi, production editing a massive unwieldy magazine, which wasn't, by everybody's admission, wasn't very well run when we got in. So started doing that, got that sorted, and then became deputy editor on Stuff magazine. Did that for 3 years, I think, and then moved to 442.
And you're running the online, you're the online editor?
Yes, I was deputy editor of the magazine for 4 years, and then I was in charge of production, and it was getting very long hours. More than a lot of magazines, 442 is difficult. It's an unwieldy beast because you build your content around your cover star. So if your cover star pulls out at the last minute, which footballers do, you've basically got to rebuild the entire magazine. And I had a young family, so I wasn't enjoying the late nights. But also I wanted to get into web editing. I wanted to get that on my CV and try a new thing. So I moved across to do that instead.